Look at what Rupert Lowe declared. I am today launching Restore Britain as a national political party. Join us, he says. Attached to this, the tweet was Restore Britain's campaign video. It's fine, it's not there. Anyway, there's something ironic about creating a nostalgic campaign video. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. He definitely has uploaded it onto Twitter. When it's AI slop. Did you also sorry, did you also notice the text? State is bad, individual is good. So it's just another, Thatcherite party. They're offering nothing new. I'm not intimidated by this. In fact, guys, I welcome it. Come on, Rupert, bring your party over. Let him establish his little party because 10% of people say they'd welcome it too. So what this is showing, in the prospective 2029 election, these figures always have the potential to change, but we have Reform on 25%, Greens on 20%, and what's really interesting is that Lowe's Restore Britain is on 10%. Rupert Lowe also announced that his party has reached 50,000 members. Big news, he says. Restore Britain has just hit 50,000 members. We have a growing army of supporters, and we're polling nationally at 10%. I am increasingly confident that we have a bloody good chance of winning the next election. Join the party today. I don't know if they'll win, but one can always dream. We love a trier. Granted, 50,000 members is pretty good. So well done, Ruru. And he's got his little fan club. 50,000 in no time with barely any media coverage. Imagine what can be done when the infrastructure and branch of the party is fully set up. Don't listen to the doomers. We can and will make Rupert our prime minister. Don't know if you saw the video, the picture on the side. Super cute. So, I do want us to take this with a pinch of salt. It's a useful snapshot of interest, but not the kind of data you'd use on its own to project some electoral breakthrough. And I'm saying that to sensitive young Saxon, and I don't know how he'll take that being so sensitive, but we'll see. It's worth mentioning what Curtis Daly found when looking at the Restore website. Curtis tweeted, initially, I was quite impressed with the 50k figure. However, there is a huge caveat. When you click to join, there is no form to enter your details, just a link to send money. So it's 50,000 donations, which can be across the world and not 50,000 UK members. Lowe has huge reach on Twitter, and many foreign accounts, probably largely US, can donate £20 per year. Since there's no other page to sign up, it looks as if they're counting donations as membership. So potentially, as it stands, it's just a crowdfunder. But that poll, we've seen something like this before, remember? Your party reached its height of 15%, tying with Labour. The graphic on the right, you can see that Stats for Lefties tracked the loss in support for the party using poll averages. And look at the drop. Whilst the Greens have surged, they are polling an average of 1.7%, with a recent poll putting your party on a low as less than 1%. Now, I'm not trying to put these parties in the same category in terms of principle, by the way, but early polling for insurgent brands routinely overstates their eventual support once reality, organisation, and media examination kick in. But I'm not saying let's ignore it, because even a soft 8 to 10%, or his 50,000 donations, tells you something important. There is competition inside the right wing space. He's positioning himself as an alternative pole to reform. What it also tells us, there is an audience for another insurgent message, but it doesn't guarantee the durability of the party, survive scrutiny, or translate into parliamentary power. Like I've said, we've seen plenty of movements poll well at birth and struggle once they have to do the slow, unglamorous work of becoming real political organisations. To get into the mind of Rupert Lowe, this is the kind of man he is. Here are some extracts from one of his very long tweets. Illegal migrants, gone. All of them, without apology. Every man, every woman, they will all be deported. We have released the most comprehensive deportation policy ever produced in Britain. 100 pages of detailed steps to remove every single illegal migrant living in our country. It is deportation poetry, legal immigration for the foreseeable future. Far more people will leave than enter. Entire visa routes will be closed off from certain countries that are proven to supply us with sex pests, criminals, illegals, Islamists, and the rest. This is vital. It underpins the entire policy. Who would be on that red list? Albania, Pakistan, Somalia, Eritrea. Afghanistan, and plenty more. We will discriminate. We will look at the facts and then discriminate. Good. We must understand that legal immigration has done far more damage to Britain than illegal immigration. Dual national extremists will have their citizenship stripped and then deported. ILR, indefinite leave to remain, will be abolished in its entirety. The Boris wave will be reversed. If a country refuses to accept their deported citizens, we will threaten them. Foreign aid, visas, remittances, and more. Push to work with the Americans and others. A deportation NATO. Do it once hard enough and it won't have to be done again. A third party scheme like Rwanda is key. It means that if we cannot ascertain where a foreign national is from for whatever reason, they go to Rwanda. I hear it's lovely at this time of the year. How many deportations will all of this result in? Millions. He also said that he will inflict pain on the country. I want to end this historic week with one clear message to you all. What is necessary for Britain will be incredibly painful. It won't be easy. There will be no confetti and pyrotechnics. It will be hard. It will hurt. It will challenge all of us. I won't tell you comforting lies. I've never done that. We've had those for decades. It has not worked. Politicians promising miracle cures when there are none. The British people have far more intelligence than the existing political parties arrogantly believe. As a party, Restore Britain will treat you with the respect you deserve. You will finally have an option that accepts the brutal reality we find ourselves in. I'll be honest with you all. There will be hard years. There will be difficult days. The fixes will not be immediate. This is going to be the fight of our lives. It is one I truly believe we can win. It was so long I struggled to read it. This is Lowe admitting he's going to create pain in this country just so he can live out his fantasy of kicking out millions of immigrants. It doesn't matter if it's bad for you or the country. Basing policy on an ideology that you knowingly know will make things worse is extremism. Now, despite being a nationalist, is this any surprise to you? Oh, look, he backs Israel. Shock horror. Bazeka. Let's unpack it. If Restore Britain runs candidates seriously, does it carry the potential to shave votes off of reform? And is this evidence of volatility? Another fragment in an increasingly crowded right-wing ecosystem, potentially?
I mean, Rupert Lowe, he's just insane. Like that stream of rhetoric, which I'm just absorbing properly now for the first time. Because I often see his tweets and they're so long, so I'm like, I'm not reading that, like whatever. But having had to really contend with the breadth of what he says, he really is quite unhinged. I suppose I'll caveat his tweets by saying that he gets paid to tweet. Like he's earned like thousands of pounds, I think, from X as a blue tick subscriber who, makes more money, I imagine, the more sensationalist stuff that he says. So he quite literally has a financial incentive tied very closely, I think, to overly sensationalist, ever more extreme views. And I think that narrative of talking about it as though, I mean, really, that's the narrative of someone who thinks there's going to be a race war. But he talks about, he's talking about forcibly deporting migrants and the kind of struggle of that, and talking about it in terms of this is a fight the British people must win. He's talking about deporting millions of people. He's talking about threatening other countries in a kind of Donald Trump-esque style of, America first kind of vibe. Really quite scary and very, very alarming. And it's deeply concerning to see that space continue to open up on the right for kind of ever more extremist ideas. And I think it's terrifying, the idea that there's a market for these ideas of around 10%. It's quite scary. This is someone who has said that, if you have a British passport, that doesn't necessarily make you British. So someone who's very, very firmly placing themselves in a kind of ethnic nationalism as opposed to a civic nationalism. Frankly, that echoes what Matt Goodwin, I think, said in 2024 after the appalling attacks, I think, that took place in the, I can't remember where it was now, sorry, but the awful knife attack against little girls. And he said that, saying that you're British on paper is not the same as being British, i.e., you need to be white to be British, I think, was the intention there. And it's terrifying that kind of ethnic nationalism is becoming more and more mainstream. There was a time where you'd have been removed from like the Conservative Party if you said that out loud. I can remember a time when that happened, and now it's just part of the course. Now you'll probably hear a Labour Party MP say that. You know, Mike Tapp has said similar things about about ethnic minorities and linking certain ethnicities or cultures to a propensity for violence or sexual violence, for example. So we're in a really, really bad place, and it's really scary that this is happening in a lot of ways. Like I said, it's also worth noting how much this guy is paid by X, owned by Elon Musk, to spout a lot of reactionary nonsense. Talked about sex pests there. He doesn't seem too bothered about Elon Musk's desperation to go to Epstein Island. So maybe he's not bothered about billionaire sex pests, I guess. And I suspect he's had very little to say in general about the Epstein files. But yeah, it's his ties to X and the fact that he receives what looks like a considerable amount of money, more money than he earns as an MP, by the way. It's further evidence of a kind of entrenchment of money in politics as well. I believe the Labour Party meant to be doing something about that in terms of foreign donations to political parties. Hurry up if you're going to do it. Like, don't allow foreign billionaires or whatever to start giving this guy money and really putting money in the machine, because that's going to be really bad. So I really hope they do something about that. Positives. That was a lot of negatives. It certainly splits and starts to truncate the right wing vote, which is not necessarily a bad thing. And that's happening at a time where I think that the votes on the left are kind of solidifying. You know, your party seems to just really not be gaining much traction at all. I haven't seen a lot of appetite, even amongst, relatively left-wing people, about the hustings that are going on. It's just like, it's dead. No one really seems to be talking about it. It feels like your party is kind of, really shrunk. And that's opened up a space for Zach Polanski and the Green Party to really dominate. So there's a kind of solidifying maybe on the left. Still split a little bit by, so I think some people are still voting Labour, but there is a streamlining or solidifying on the left, whilst the right seems to be fragmented. You can have more right-wing options. Conservative Party is still there. Maybe it may die, but it's still there. You've got Reform. Now you've got this crazy party. You've also, frankly, the Labour Party at times is basically another right-wing option on a lot of issues now as well in some ways. So there's a plethora of parties on the right or sort of playing on the right, far fewer on the left, and that may end up being, a particularly good thing. But it does worry me that this kind of party is possible. It does worry me. I know that he's fudged the numbers. He's being a bit delusional, talking about 50,000, paid up members or whatever of this party. But it does worry me that this really has any traction, or that any politician really sees this as a kind of viable route, to be honest, for them. It suggests something about our politics, which is really quite nasty, quite scary, and very reactionary, and that's gonna hurt the most vulnerable, the poorest, migrants, people of colour, trans people. It's a scary time for a lot of people, because these are very, very extreme things that are being said, and it's poisonous. It's poisonous for our society, I think, for this to be being unleashed.